Hello everyone, welcome back to the caster desk here at Lille Regional Championships. We are about to kick off very soon with our 14th and final round of Swiss here. Once again, I'm Freya Pierce, here's Benji Hutchings with me, and I think the final round, to say the least, is going to be a very fun face-off to see.
I think it's going to be a very fun face-off. It's almost going to look like a mirror in the middle of the field there. And,
but not in the way you think.
Not in the way that you think. Freya, who do we have?
We have a Kamerman and a Kamerman.
Wow. Two brothers facing off in our winning in match for top 8. The stakes are high. The family blood is there, and both these players rearing to go. We've seen both these players on stream already this weekend. Your eyes do not deceive you. They are not the same person.
But I think it's so unreal to me that a situation like this could even happen. Of course, we have the Schultz brothers, Philip and Robin, so potentially a similar thing happening there. But playing against my own brother or sister in a tournament like this at this level as well for the winning in for top 8, that's got to kind of hit different.
Exactly, and I think that when it comes to both of them as well, they have both played so well through the deck and playing completely different decks as well. We've got some time now to break that down. Obviously, Owyn playing that Pelkia Kieran that we've seen him, the Pelkia Intellion that we've seen him play all weekend long. Really good games that he's played on stream as well. And of course, we have got Brennan, that lost box that we've seen, that Radiant Zard doing its work. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
It is very, very hard to say. We can see how this matchup can very much play out both ways. Obviously, if a Manaphy gets missed, then you can come in with a Radiant Greninja and start really putting in some work. Even if a Manaphy doesn't get missed, you can KO it and sort of play around it that way and still get a double knockout. So it really is it's one of these really, really back and forth matchups. It's such a fun slogfest to see. Yeah,
I think that it's going to be a really interesting thing. Those Cramorants, those early Cramorants for those quick Sobble and Drizzle knockouts as well may come into play. And of course, you mentioned the Radiant Zard.
Yes.
A name that goes through the last couple of months. It has had really good performances all around, and at Worlds, coming into the new season, still spreading its wings. It's able to one-shot a Pelkia with a choice belt. One prize Pokemon.
Yes, and one of the absolute strongest one single prize attackers I think we've seen in a very, very long time. Maybe not, I wouldn't say second only to Sableye, because obviously that's come into play more recently and it's kind of strong in a different way, but in terms of pure damage output, I think Radiant Charizard is probably a little bit uncontested right now.
Yeah, and as we said, being better the later the game goes on as well. Always accessible, those Claras, making everything in your hand straight away. Those Fire Energy, the Zard, all you need is a switch out typically to get it up in the active and you're swinging. But of course, we can't not talk about this matchup without talking about how good Pelkia has been the last couple of months as well.
Absolutely.
These Intellions, the engine has been running the show for almost a year now. Do you think that it's still got merit? Obviously, we've seen it sort of not have a huge result yet, not a regional win in a while. Do you think that this is the weekend we could see it?
It could well be, and honestly, even if it isn't the weekend, I think it's still done more than enough to prove itself as a force that just isn't going away. You know what I mean? This is a deck that no one really ever claimed that it was going to be gone entirely after the most recent change in format, but I think some people wondered if maybe it would see less play, or if it would, its position in the format would change. And I think now it's clear to see that no, this is an archetype that is strong and here to stay.
Definitely, and here we have the coin flip, and it looks as if Owyn has said that he is going first. And I can't wait for this to get started. The prizes being laid out now. We'll have a quick look at those before the game kicks off, and then we'll get straight into it.
Yes, we will. Lost Zone Box against Palkia. If there were ever, two archetypes you could pick to kind of represent the two most popular forces in the format, it had to be, these two decks right here would be top contenders for it. So a very fitting round 14 feature match, I think, for us to have. What's in the prizes? Nothing too bad for Brennan, it looks like.
No, just that one half of the cross switcher up there. Obviously, it could come to him at the right time, though, towards the end of the game. So all of that is okay. Nothing too bad. One Sableye, the Cavitator, the Pelpad could come an interesting point here. Those Claras we just mentioned, really important for getting those Charizards out, as well as the Cramorant as well if they go down early. So the Pelpad being able to shuffle in those Claras. So you can maybe lost someone, maybe play one a bit earlier. But of course, that's going to come out around the middle game. So hopefully Owyn is able to utilize it.
Yes, I think in the grand scheme of things, as prizes, if you could pick those as prizes, I think you would take that, honestly. Especially considering usually you use Palpad later on anyway. So by the time you take it as a prize is when you'd want to use it. So probably going to work out pretty well. These two players are raring to go to fight for a sibling rivalry match for the spots in top 8. not something you see very, very often, but when it does, I mean, I think there's got to be fireworks.
Of course, I mean, you very rarely see sibling shows down earlier in the tournament in the lower tables. You know, the odds of running into each other quite low, but both of these players have made it all the way to round 14 and ready to knock the other out of top 8. And of course, I'm sure family dinner will be awkward tomorrow night if that happens. However, on the other hand, I hope they'll be very happy for each other if one goes through.
Yeah, I'm sure that will probably be the more prevailing feeling, I would like to think. So
just waiting for this game to get started. Both players eager to go. I can see a VIP pass in Owyn's hand. I think Owyn opted to go. No, Brennan opted to go first, I believe. So that VIP pass in Owyn's hand going to come in handy to get those sobbles down turn 1. And I can't see Brennan's hand at the minute, but we'll have to see what comes of that. And the fist bump, and off we go. That Comfey start and the Palkia V. Comfey, exactly what you want to see in the active at this point.
Yes, Brennan going first. Starting off a Pokestop, going to fire that off straight away. Looks like, finding an escape rope and discarding a Drapion, which is not too relevant, and a Psychic Energy, which you can get back from Clara. So actually, not too bad.
Those discards, very nice. That Psychic Energy, we said sometimes the best place for the energy to be is in the discard, ready to be used with that Clara, getting everything you need in one supporter. And of course, that Drapion, he's glad already you didn't start it, but also don't want to draw into it.
No, very much not. So glad to sort of get that out of the way quickly. Flower Selecting comes in, one Kamerman hitting the Lost Zone, scoop up net now after another Comfey getting benched. Flower Selecting number 2 going to come into play. Already starting to build up that Lost Zone well. What is the hit of the Flower Selecting? Just getting rid of a Pokegear straight away. Yeah, I'm sure the other card is probably a lot more important than whatever that Pokegear was.
One-off Pokegear in this deck, and I'll be honest, every game that I've seen Brennan play, I've not seen the Pokegear be used yet. It seems to be in the Lost Zone every time, so I'll be very interested to find out if that has come in handy at all this weekend. But of course, the perfect card to see turn 1, as we always see. Yeah. VIP pass. Yeah, and it looks as if the Kamerman is going to be definitely the choice of Pokemon for the first pick, and perhaps a Manaphy right behind it, understanding how important that is to protect his Comfeys from that Greninja. Yeah,
we mentioned, of course, at the beginning of the game how one of the ways that the Palkia deck can really overcome the Lost Zone box is if a Manaphy doesn't hit the field early enough, some shenanigans of Radiant Greninja, a double knockout of Moonlight Shuriken is going to put you in a very good way. In this instance, Brennan is just saying no to that straight away, essentially.
Yeah, and of course, we know that Brennan plays 2 Manaphy as well. We've seen a couple of situations arise where there are knockouts on the Manaphy, not able to get it down again, and although you thought you were protected, all of a sudden your board is wide open again, but that Manaphy not in the prizes. Brennan is definitely going to have access to it.
Yeah, Brennan absolutely will. Going to put down the Comfey that was scoop up netted into play again. Don't think there's any more ways to switch, unfortunately, for Brennan. So it might. Of course, yeah, the one from the Pokestop.
Palkia not moving anywhere, not able to go, but of course those Comfey switching positions. I think that's another VIP pass. Brennan able to fill up his bench more if he so wishes, but no, straight into the Lost Zone. I didn't actually see the other card, but straight into hand. Brennan looking good already. 3 in the Lost Zone. That Kamerman almost ready, and I'm sure it will come to life on his second turn.
I can only imagine whatever card Brennan picked was more important than the Battle VIP pass in that instance. So, yeah, that's going to go to the Lost Zone. Now he's going to be back on Owyn to mount counter setup, and already starting off well with a Capacious Bucket, getting 2 Water Energies out of the deck, and looking through to check the prizes very quickly.
Yeah, this late in the tournament, you see players sequencing everything right, and time again, that Capacious Bucket getting 2 Water Energy out of the deck, especially if you can get Greninja down this turn. 1 discard of that energy allows you to use Greninja, but not only that, you have increased your odds of seeing what you want to see, taking 2 cards out of the deck already. Yeah,
absolutely wonderful to see that. So, and it looks like Owyn actually has a Battle VIP pass in hand as well, so both players going to be able to fire that off turn 1. Got to be feeling pretty happy about that.
And the VI pass comes. I'm sure we will see that Radiant Greninja come to hand, and the Sobble looks to be the other pick thus far. And here they both are out to play. That Greninja ready to use that concealed cards, and of course Sobble waiting to be evolved. Not quite useful yet, but I'm sure he will be throughout this game.
Yeah, Radiant Greninja, the powering force behind his Palkia deck, the concealed cards ability, just enabling you to dig through your deck so quickly and set up your discard pile of energies to use with Star Portal. And then not only that, of course, but that Moonlight Shuriken attack coming in so handy against so many decks to just take multiple knockouts and really set your opponent back.
Yeah, and we see another Capacious Bucket here, so that's a total of 4 energy coming out this turn. Owyn is utilising the fact that he's going to be able to use multiple concealed cards now, but not only that, he's definitely going to have an attachment to the Palkia V, meaning that it's most likely he will be able to attack. turn 2.
Yes. Finding a quick ball as well off of the concealed cards just there, going to be very handy for him if he wants to maybe get down another Sobble or maybe another Palkia. Going to have to consider which one would be the best approach to take here. Brennan was able to get 3 in the lost zone on turn 1, so I think 10 on turn 2 is not outside the realms possibility. Again, it'll be a bit of a stretch. You'd have to see a lot of switching cards to do that, but it might be something Owyn wants to consider in terms of the decision-making of what is the better basic to get off this quick ball right now. We can see he's thinking about it pretty hard.
Yeah, of course. As he said, Brennan unlikely to get that Sableye turn 2. However, there is possibility with Colress being able to play on his second turn. We've already got 2 Comfey in play. A third could easily come down the board. And of course, there is a Stadium in play, meaning that can be lost zone by Lost Vacuum.
Oh, well. that is very true, yeah. So that can sort of get Brennan further into it as well with the Lost Vacuum. So often it's used to, in these Lost Zone box decks, get yourself to 10 in the Lost Zone more than it is for its function of getting rid of one of your opponent's stadiums or tools.
Of course, it's a card with 2 faces, can use advantageous for yourself or alternatively to disrupt your opponent. Owyn here does end up discarding that Echoing Horn with the quick ball, going for another Sobble by the looks of things, and he knows that there isn't really a threat on Brennan's side of the board of these Sobbles being sniped right now. That Sableye is a little bit far away. He's going to be hoping that those 7 cards don't come down Freya, but there is a possibility, as we said.
Yeah, there really is, and it looks like Owyn's actually going to end the turn just by using Rule the Region. Of course, that Palkia's first attack for 1 energy just lets you search your deck for any Stadium card. If you've got nothing better to do, then why not, right?
And Rule the Region means that Lost Vacuum's even nicer now, not discarding your own. Brennan here can use his Pokestop early in the turn, perhaps get that Lost Vacuum if he needs to get those last 2 in the Lost Zone to get himself to 10. Getting rid of a Training Court. It didn't come down in the end, though.
Oh, no.
So it stayed in hand.
Well, it has to, right, because it goes to hand from the attack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought it come straight down.
No. No, so Rule the Region does put it straight to hand, so Owyn's going to have to wait until next turn to play it regardless. But Fire Energy in the discard pile.
Exactly where Brennan wants it. That Clara becoming half active so far. The Radiant Zard in hand currently. Whether it'll hit the field or end up in the discard, ready to be drawn by that Clara. And the first flower selecting of the turn. 2 switching outs for Brennan, both the switch card and a rope. The rope, of course, moving the Palkia. I'm sure that is where the Kamerman wants to put its damage. So I think the switch card here, the ideal choice.
Yeah, definitely. I think the switch card definitely going to be the better call here, given that you don't really want to move Owyn's active out of the way just yet. But you do want to get more flower selections going. So switch cart will go into the other Comfey. We're going to see flower selecting number 2. And what's it going to be here? Oh, a third Comfey and...
Another Pokestop, I think.
That's what it looked like. Yeah, I'm not sure. But in any case, yeah, it makes sense. You want to get a third Comfey down. And you have... Oh, there's another Escape Rope in hand. So if more flower selectings are needed, that could still be played as an option. It might be that Brennan is sort of forced to do that in that way. We'll see. Yeah, he does actually go for it. So in the end... going to be bringing up the Radiant Greninja on Owyn's side. So Kamerman could still hit that for 110, and then maybe finish off later with 2 damage counters from a Lost Mine.
Yes.
But I guess not quite the same impact. It's hard to say, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's been a talking point a lot this weekend, that Kamerman hitting into the Greninja. I think in this deck, it's definitely not something that matters too much. Of the Sableye always giving you access to late game knockouts where any of your damage counters have already been. But it could be a case that Brennan just holds on to his Kamerman, tries to hide it. That Palkia, obviously a 2-prize Pokemon. So as long as it's in the active, Owyn is going to be under fire. And Brennan will always be happy to take 2-prize knockouts with a 1-prizer. So the Comfey now with an Air Balloon. There has not been a manual switch yet, so we might see the Kamerman come in here, and it does. 110 to that Greninja, leaving it with 20 H.
Oh, Boss's
orders as well. That is a brilliant turn from Brennan, taking away one of those Sobbles, meaning Owyn's next turn is going to be slightly less consistent now. Not an option for 2 Drizzles, and of course 1 prize straight off the bat for Brennan on his second turn.
Yeah, that's a pretty ideal turn for Brennan there. Boss's orders on the Sobble, really cutting off Owyn's consistency. Only going to be able to access, like you said, 1 Drizzle this turn, so not going to be able to find as much to set up. I mean, Owyn's hand is still pretty big, so I can't imagine this turn would be too terrible all the same, but I think that was very, very important find for Brennan there.
Yeah, and I think Owyn starting off the turn here with that concealed cards ability, and of course drawing into it, looks like another Palkia V there. He is going to need multiple attackers in this game. I don't think 1 Palkia V-Star is going to do the job for him, especially
I don't think
not
so
that
either.
Radiant Zard, so it's quite important. Those come down, not necessarily this turn, but at some point before we get to those Charizard turns, so he's got other options, and we do see it come down now. So The bench not looking as it typically does for Palkia. Owyn would like to see more Sobbles, but knowing how ineffective it can be with Sableye coming out.
Yes, so Evolution Incense now coming in to find that one Drizzile. Shady Dealing's going to find Owyn any trainer that he likes, and he's going to look and consider carefully as to what would be the best thing to grab here. He needs to find a Palkia V-Star to attack. He needs to attach to the energy as well, just to get that subspace swell going. And it looks like already Irida probably is going to be the best choice to achieve that.
Yeah, that Irida definitely being able to grab him the Palkia V-Star, and then, of course, another item, being able to help him along the way. It looks like he's going for the cross switcher here, so maybe a gusting play to take out something nice, perhaps that Manaphy, hoping that Brennan can't get it back down, and then bringing Greninja into play.
You've got to be thinking about that Manaphy. We said before, one of the key ways that the Palkia can really swing the advantage is if you can do a Moonlight Shuriken to KO 2 things. Otherwise, you are having to take 6 attacks to knock out 6 prizes to win, and that's obviously just not ideal when you're playing Palkia. So, yeah, it looks like Cross Switcher is going to be the option here. Does Owyn have the means to actually get the Cross Switch, but then also power up another attacker? Because, of course, you have to switch yourself. So, I think it can't really, without these of a Star Portal, I think it can't really happen.
Yeah, a Star Portal, or perhaps just another switch, being able to just attach to the Palkia again, obviously. But as you said, just a bit of a combo here. Owyn needs to look at his things. He was considering the Evo Incense for a little bit, so perhaps thinking there are odds that I don't get this combo off this turn, or maybe don't want to use my Star Portal this early in the game. However, it does look like that cross switch is coming out, and it's for a Comfey with the balloon.
Interesting.
And Brennan's face says, interesting choice. And I agree, I'm interested to see what the line of play is here. The Palkia coming into the active with a scoop up net, and now Greninja back down. I think we're about to see a concealed card. Owyn looking through the discard, trying to see if he's going to get maximum benefit out of this Star Portal. Obviously, 3 energy allowed.
Yeah, it's not quite sure what the line of play is here. Again, maybe Owyn has more access to information than we do. We don't quite see what the line of thinking is, but I'm sure whatever it is, we'll see it play out over the next few turns as Owyn does attach the energy manually to the Palkia. And yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a subspace swell knockout on the Comfey.
Yeah, joining Brennan on 5 prizes, so not the worst. At least there was a KO. As we said, this game, so much tempo needed from these 2 prize decks. They need to get through 6 knockouts. They need to keep their resources. Maybe that's why Owyn decided not to Star Portal, thinking there may be another time in the game where he's running low and he's able to recharge everything. So just the knockout here, the easy route.
But then it does beg the question why the Manaphy wasn't the target. It's maybe that air balloon on the Comfey was considered giving Brennan too much flexibility, perhaps?
Yeah, perhaps. I think it's definitely an interesting line. Maybe Owyn knows how much Brennan's going to prioritize that Manaphy, maybe thinking the Clara's a very high possibility and not really worth taking for any other reason than to hope you can get your Greninja play off. But obviously there's 1,000,001 reasons as to why, but we're now in Brennan's turn. A flower selecting already, and now the second one, putting the escape rope in the lost zone and a scoop up net to hand. There's also the Comfey still in hand again, so we can get another one down again with that scoop up net that brought it back to hand. And of course, making our way now to 10, that magic number for Lost Mine on Sableye.
Yeah, once you hit 10 in the Lost Zone, that's when things start to really get scary. When you're playing against Lost Box, you are facing against this one prize attacker that can just sprinkle 12 damage counters whatever way it likes onto your field, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah, and we see the Colress come out, so that means we're definitely going to reach that point of 10 this turn. Obviously, a Sableye hitting the Lost Zone in order to grab that Colress, but I think Brennan prioritizing getting to that magic number. Now he knows that all doors are open to him. He has the master key. Can he open the door?
That's a very, very eloquent way to put it, and as we see from the Colress experiment, one of the Comfeys, the remaining Comfeys in Brennan's deck goes into the Lost Zone from that 5 picked, but looks like it's the Zigzagoon actually going in there as well. Maybe thinking it's not the extra 1 damage counter it places. Not really worth it at this point in time.
Of course, and now 11 in the Lost Zone. 1 more than he needed, but 1 more he is definitely happy with. Looking at all his options here, probably that quick ball for the Sableye now, wanting to place those damage counters. That Drizzile could definitely see itself go down this turn. And Freya, you said last game, those 3 damage counters on the Palkia, really important sometimes if you're not able to hit that ban for the Charizard, to be able to hit that 1 hit knockout.
Yes, and we actually saw Brennan just discard there a Clara from a quick ball. So if the Manaphy was KO'd, then Brennan would have played the Clara without a doubt to get it back. But then again, you could say if that was forced to be played, then Brennan couldn't have played the cautious experiment, and that would have also set him back.
Yes, of course. I mean, there's lots of twists in this tale. Owyn will have to ask him if we are able to why he went for that line. Of course, Brennan now looking to set up a really establishing board state here. Getting the energy back out with that training court, helping him out as well. Those poker stops helping him, and now the training court, that Comfey, just a switch card now into the Sableye, and I think we might just see that 90 to the Drizzile and maybe 30 to either one of the Palkias.
I've got to imagine that's what's happening here. Just, again, cutting off more of Owyn's consistency options. There's going to be no option for a Shady Dealings Inteleon next turn if this happens. And then, yeah, making it so that you don't have to dig for the Choice Belt in order to KO the Palkia V-Star next turn as well. And that's exactly what's happened.
Exactly that. And it's important to note as well, you know, we've discussed Palkia, that Inteleon engine, amazing to be able to cherry pick the cards you want, but no other draw power in the deck besides for Greninja. The most that Owyn can see off the top of the deck this turn is 2 cards if he's able to access the energy. It's really, really upsetting when you don't have any Shady Dealings to use on your turn.
No, so Training Court gets used by Owyn straight away to bring back Water Energy, just to then discard it again with the concealed cards to draw a couple of extra, but...
That big charm able to cancel out the 30
that
damage
is true.
put there by the Sableye. Of course, that damage can just be added again by another Lost Mine, but at least it keeps the Charizard at bay for now.
Yes, it sure does.
It's a few turns yet till it becomes a threat, but of course, Owyn's going to have that in mind.
Capacious Bucket grabs 2 Water Energies from the deck, and I think there could be a consideration if Owyn has another Scoop Up Net to just pick the Greninja and put it back down and do concealed cards again, just to try and draw more. And going to be playing an Irida now. Really, really tough for Owyn considering there are no Inteleon pieces out. There's no Sobbles, there's no Drizziles. There are no option for Shady Dealings this turn. And when you're a Palkia Inteleon deck and you have no Inteleon part, it's got to be a bit of a struggle.
Can't feel great. And Owyn in an awkward position here as well. He knows that he wants Sobbles out, but he knows that those Sobbles can't evolve this turn, meaning that he is going to be putting things in the firing line of Sableye if he does put it down, opting for not the Crabominable, going for the Palkia V-Star to be able to evolve that V on the bench, and the item, the Scoop Up Net, as you just said, Freya, maybe being able to reactivate that concealed cards, drawing that. If you haven't got Inteleon on board to handpick the cards, you might as well see as many as you can. Yeah,
and that's going to have to be the way that Owyn goes for consistency now, because now that the Lost Mine is active, there is no way any Sobble survives. You'd have to basically bench 3 in one go, just to have 1 survive, and by doing that, you'd still be giving your opponent 2 prizes, which is really not what you want to be doing right now.
Of course, that is absolutely not, especially not when Brennan already finds himself ahead in this game. The knockout on the Sableye here, and we're back over to Brennan. That Comfey obviously moved up into the active. That Flower selecting still good in this game to see extra cards, although the Lost Zone is at that magic number. And Brennan eyeing up his discard pile. Imagine there's maybe a Clara play on the cards here.
Yeah, you got to imagine it. So there's is that Clara coming down now? Yes, it is. Hesitates a little bit for putting it down, but does decide to go for it. Going to be able to grab back that Fire Energy and a Psychic Energy, as well as a Sableye and a Comfey. So getting back a lot of Pokemon resources that are, of course, very, very important. Now, if you're Brennan here, you've got to be hoping you can take a knockout and get that Pal Pad out of the prizes. But unfortunately, I don't see anything currently that actually can be knocked out, because Greninja has 130, and both the Palkias are way, way out of range of being knocked out.
Of course, and I think another really important thing to note as well is that Clara for the Sableye is absolutely integral to this turn. As you can see, there is 1 already in the Lost Zone. There is 1 in the prizes. There is a total of 3 in Brennan's deck.
Oh, you're right.
Sableye was the only one available to him to use this Lost Mine. So that Clara huge on that turn, and obviously very happy to see it. Thinking about that Cape of Toughness, doesn't think it's worth it in the end, and of course that Flower selecting now, that lost Vacuum could be nice to get rid of that Training Court, slow down Owyn a little bit, hopefully stopping that concealed cards from being as good.
The problem, of course, with the Cape of Toughness is the fact that it doesn't really do enough to boost Sableye out of being KO'd range. Like 70 up to 120, sure, it's nice, but it's not really helping you against staring down a Palkia that's already fully charged up.
Maybe he just wants to give his Sableye a nice accessory to wear, Freya.
Maybe.
That's obviously the real reason, right?
You obviously know, you've obviously studied more than I have.
So the switch card here, setting the comedy bench, a very simple turn from Brennan here, but I don't think there's a lot that he has to do this turn. He just has to continue putting the pressure on Owyn's side of the board, but the most important thing we continue to mention is at least 3 damage counters on those Palkia V-Stars.
Yeah, that is by far the most important thing, and considering you have residual damage left to do, there's actually another factor that I didn't even think about here. These two players, obviously being brothers, they probably know each other's full 60-card list, if we're being honest. So Brennan might, knowing that Owyn plays Big Charm, consider putting extra on the Palkia so that even a Big Charm Palkia can still be knocked out with a Radiant Charizard that doesn't have a choice belt on it.
Right, I think what we might see here is a nice little mix-up, 60-60 potentially. What might also be a good idea is 60-40, maybe 20 on Greninja, meaning that Kamerman can come in late game and take a nice knockout on that 130 HP Pokemon. And I think that might be what we see here, or close to. I think maybe only 10 damage on that Greninja, but something Brennan has considered.
Yeah, I mean, 10 on the Greninja means that another Lost Mine will still get the KO, so it's still like a relevant number to put on, just like the 10 damage there. But the problem is now that obviously Brennan is going to have this Sableye KO'd and be left with no other Sableyes until he either gets one out of the prizes or he hits another Clara, which I do believe both the Claras at this point have already been played.
Yeah, I think they have both been played. I'm just looking now to see how many Choice Band are in the deck. It doesn't look like any.
Oh, there's no choice belt. Okay, so there's no choice belt in Brennan's list. So actually, the whole point is irrelevant anyway. Or rather, no, you could argue even more relevant, because now you definitely don't need to put that much on the Palkia in order to get a knockout without a choice belt hand, because you never have access to the choice belt anyway.
Definitely, and it does mean that Charizard does become a threat on Brennan's next turn, but of course he's going to need a boss's orders to be able to KO the Palkia on the bench, because the one in the active currently without a band cannot be KO'd, and it looks like Owyn here flipping his V-Star counter and attaching those Water Energy with Star Portal. I think it would be really interesting here to see the Big Charm come onto the bench Palkia as well, maybe pushing that out of range as well for Owyn, sort of checkmating Brennan's Lost Mine and Charizard later in the game.
Yeah, another energy going onto the Radiant Greninja for Owyn, and that Big Charm coming down actually onto the Radiant Greninja, interestingly enough. So now it's once again out of range of a Lost Mine. Owyn probably thinking that the Radiant Greninja is really important to preserve right now. And maybe Owyn also thinking, now that both the Claras have been played, now is the time to go for the Manaphy.
Yes, I think that is definitely something that should be considered. We know that Pelpad is prized as well. Owyn's not going to know that, but he's going to know the odds of hitting that are far lower than hitting either of the Claras.
Exactly.
So he needs to go for this aggressive play, get rid of the Manaphy, and hopefully take 2 prizes with Greninja there.
Yeah, that's going to be the key thing. And as well, even if Brennan's Pelpad isn't prized, Owyn doing this forces Brennan to dig for it, dig further into the deck, potential racial resources to find the Palpad, and then dig again to find the Claras that he just Palpaded back in. So it's going to be very, very awkward for Brennan to pull off a Clara next turn, no matter which way you look at it, especially when this Roxanne gets played, but no! Owyn just realized that he can't play the Roxanne.
And it didn't, luckily, go the same way as it went last time. The hand did not go into the deck yet. Brennan on 4 prizes. 3 needed to be able to play Roxanne for those sitting at home. However, the other card in Owyn's hand is a boss's orders. He could go for that Manaphy play now with the Palkia in the active. It is another route he could go, or just getting rid of the Sableye. Yeah,
very good that Owyn caught that before anything horrendous happened. We don't want to repeat what happened yesterday, of course, on stream with the Roxanne game loss is never a fun situation to be in. But no, it has been avoided this time. So now Owyn takes the KO just with the Subspace Spell on the active, on the Sableye. And now it's back to Brennan, who ends up quick balling away a Comfey and looks to see that, sorry, Brennan, but that Palpad is no longer, not currently in the deck.
Yeah, it is not the quick ball. He knows this by now. There are not many cards to look through anymore. He should see it in plain sight now. No Pelpad available at the minute. The second Manaphy coming to hand. Maybe Brennan recognizing that without that Pelpad in the deck, I need to make sure I have the assurance that this Greninja is not going to take 2 prizes at any point. Brennan seeing the Roxanne off the flower selecting, knowing that he can now play it, seeing as Owyn has gone down to 3, but opting to take the Fire Energy, switching back in hand. Spoke too soon. Brennan considering his options here. He knows that the Roxanne could put this Palkia out of the way, not having any Drizziles or Inteleons on the board. It might be hard to draw out of 2 cards without hitting energy. And the Roxanne goes. I think the training court there maybe influence the decision, knowing that Owyn could at least get 2 cards his next turn if that was still in play, and opting for the Fire Energy.
I mean, it's really tough, right? Because obviously the Roxanne is really great as a comeback card, but at the same time, you don't have many Fire Energy left to work with. You know for a fact that both your Claras are gone, and you don't have access to your Pal Pad. So maybe in that instance, just making sure that you have access to the Fire Energy is more important, which is why that ended up being, you know, the Lost Zone card that had to go, even though you really, really would rather play that card this turn.
Yeah, and Brennan here, looking at all his supporters, looking at what he's played, he knows the Pal Pad is not there at the minute. I'm going to face he's looking at how many cards are left in the deck as well. He's got a bit of time. There's no chance of him decking out anytime soon. There's going to be a few more turns in this game, but it looks like it's just going to be a retreat into Kamerman. I think 110 damage on that Palkia, setting it up. Charizard will then be able to hit it for the second time and knock it out. And of course, the Kamerman only being a 1 prize and not too much of a risk to just be swinging with.
Yeah,
now.
but I think you've got to give Owyn the favour here, right? Brennan right now is in such a tricky position with just with amount of resources left or lack thereof, because this Kamerman is going down, and I'm fairly sure that the other one is also gone. So, you know, Brennan can do the spit innocently right now, but he doesn't have anything to follow up with here. It's going to have to rely on Radiant Charizard, essentially, once this Kamerman gets KO'd.
It's quite funny as well, because Brennan finds himself in a position where taking prizes is what he needs to do to keep himself in the game, simply because of that Pal Pad, and yet he doesn't have anything on board efficient enough at the minute to be able to take those prizes. Of course, that Radiant Zard is going to be able to take it, but that's his last big threat left. He needs to save that for the right opportunity. He knows that the active Palkia is easier to knock out now with 110 on it. He wants to be aiming for the one on the bench with that Radiant Zard. And we go over to Owyn now, a start to his turn. I'm sure we're going to see a concealed card, see everything else that he needs. His hand already pretty big. He has lots of answers.
Yeah, so this has got to be the game plan, right? This Kamerman gets KO'd now by Owyn, or something gets KO'd. Brennan then goes ahead and brings up the Radiant Charizard with a Fire Energy to KO a Palkia. Then 2 prizes left. Owyn KOs something, probably the Radiant Zard, because that's the biggest threat on the board. Then, but in that case, Brennan needs to hope that he hits Pal Pad, which, if we're assuming a prize-taking order, probably will happen. Pal Pad both the Claras back in, hope to hit it off Comfey, Comfey the Radiant Charizard back, and take the win with there.
Up the win.
That's got to be the game plan for Brennan right now.
And it is just an attack with that Subspace Well, sending that Kamerman to the discard pile. And Brennan now eyeing up what he's able to do. That right hand is there.
Oh, hello.
So the Charizard in hand as well. The Fire Energy's got all the pieces needed to be able to use the Charizard. But does he have a switch out for that Comfey?
Well, what he could do...
2 Colress and 2 VIP bats left in deck. 2 great cards, 2 bad ones. But none you can use. That Colress will draw you out of the game if he is to use it. So, of course, that Manaphy going to the bin, checking what he has left. The Charizard coming down now. 1 energy, 250 damage.
I mean, and the Cape of Toughness as well, going on to sort of really buff the HP a little bit more. I don't think it matters too much in the sense that I think Owyn, because of obviously hitting the Radiant Charizard for weakness, can KO the Radiant Charizard anyway. But we know that there's a right hand in hand, so, and yeah, Brennan's going to play that and just use that to attach an energy to the Comfey and then just retreat it manually.
Yeah, of course. Not much for him to look to get out of the deck right now. None of the cards really useful to him. The Colress not able to be played. Maybe good to get in hand, though. Obviously, he was able to Pal Pad the Claras back in the deck. It might draw them into those a little bit easier. However, probably not the best idea. He knows what's there. 2 VIP, 2 Colress.
And interestingly enough, actually opting to attach the energy to the bench Comfey, what this says to me is that Brennan already has a switching out in hand and is essentially banking himself a little bit of insurance so that when the Radiant Zard gets knocked out on the next turn, Brennan can bring up the Comfey and then use Flower Selecting after Pal Padding the Claras back in and manually retreat to the Charizard again to win.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that as well. Just thinking ahead a little bit, what these great players do. You talked a little bit yesterday what separates good and great players, and thinking these turns ahead and making sure you have the answers is what makes it. And the scoop up net is that retreat that he was looking for. And of course, Charizard coming up for that big combustion blast. 250 damage into Palkia V-Star, and 2 more prizes for Brennan at the end of this turn.
Now, I'm just going to take a quick look at Owyn's list, because there is one way that maybe Owyn could scupper this plan if, so Owyn is not playing Lost City. So there is no way for Owyn to be able to take the Radiant Charizard entirely out of play. Otherwise, that could have been an amazing move to sort of seal this game back in his favor, but doesn't really have that. So nope. Instead, Radiant Charizard gets a knockout on the Palkia. Owyn's going to have to think about what to bring up. Obviously, if you bring up the Radiant Greninja, then Brennan can't take the win off of that. So that's one thing to maybe consider. But in fact, no, there's no buts about it. Maybe that's just what you have to do. But Owyn's bringing up the Palkia instead.
I think that an interesting thing is that Owyn here has to play a bit of hope.
Yes.
He has to KO this Charizard, hope that Brennan isn't able to see the Pelpad that he just took off his prizes in order to get the Clara for another attacker to come back into the deck. This Palkia is very susceptible to this Charizard. It will be able to take a KO, but obviously not if Brennan doesn't see the things that he needs.
Wait, actually, no, I just realized something. The Cape of Toughness is completely huge because, of course, Radiant Greninja does 90 damage. 90 times 2 is 180. With the Cape of Toughness, the Radiant Charizard actually survives a hit from Greninja.
It does. It survives a hit from Greninja. Obviously, that Manaphy's still in place. The Greninja not even able to hit the bench to at least take one prize. And, of course, it means that Palkia probably always able to one-hit KO that Radiant Charizard just by hitting it for weakness. However, if it goes down before it's able to get rid of it twice, then it's going to be a tough finish of the game for Owyn. It's been very close so far. Both these players neck and neck in this. No one really pulling ahead at any point, but it seems right now Brennan with the advantage. But here it goes, Roxanne, and he is down to 2 cards in hand.
Roxanne, absolutely vital play for Owyn there. Really got to reduce Brennan's chance of being able to both dig for the Power Pad and then afterwards dig for the Clara to steal the game. It's really going to come down to what Brennan draws off of this Roxanne. If if it's some useful finds, if he finds one of his Chorus's experiments, for example, then he'll probably be in a good way. But then again, no, you can't play the Chorus's experiment because then you can't play the Clara. So actually, this is really strong from Owyn here. But be Roxanning at the exact right time to scupper Brennan's plans.
I bet he's glad he didn't play that Roxanne now earlier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
Owyn now looking at his hand. There's not too much going on. There's not a lot that he needs to do either. He just needs to make sure that this Palkia carries him through. And the Pelpad off the top deck. That is huge from Brennan. In this round 14, he is about to take full advantage of this. He has the flower selecting available to him well. Just the 2 Clara, maximizing his odds. He doesn't want energy. He doesn't want anything else in the way. He just wants the maximum odds of hitting these. He knows he has the answers here. The Comfey, energy on it already. All he needs now is the Clara.
Can he hit it on his flower selecting? This is all it comes down to at this point. Flower selecting. Does it the Clara?
Chorus and fire energy.
I think that's a miss.
He misses it.
Oh, head in the hands. It's
not the end of the game yet, though.
No, but Chorus's experiment. Oh no, that's not going to do it. Oh, such a heartbreaker. Too many cards in the deck, so not quite able to guarantee the hitting the Clara enough, and Owyn will take game 1 after a heartbreaking attempted final find from Brennan there.
And Freya, wow, we have talked so much, and so have so many other streams in Pokemon about comebacks in this game. Roxanne, the card of the show in this game, almost ended the game early there by shuffling in the hand at 4 prizes. However, absolutely vital to stop Brennan from taking that game out of his hands.
And what did we say right at the beginning? The 1 Power Pad prize, you never know, could come into play later. It was literally the crucial card of the entire game.
It was the crutch that Owyn was relying on, that Pelpad not being able to be seen. And of course, the #1 player in the world continues to shoot to the top. And at the minute, looks like he's posed for top 8.
Wow, okay. So, the Owyn, the Kamerman, currently in the lead. It is 1-0. There is not much time left on the clock, all things considered. That game took about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. So Brennan has got his work cut out for him if he wants to make a comeback here. He's got to win 2 games, and he's got to win them super fast.
Yeah, we're all the way down to 17 minutes here. Brennan has got his work cut out for him. Already got a mulligan. He's going to be happy with that. He needs to see those VIP passes on his first turn. And he's going to have to hope that he can close up this first game to make it back to a tie extremely quickly. Otherwise, Owyn is going to be able to make it into top 8.
And there was some kind of discussion going on? No, maybe not. Okay, no, yep. Brennan putting out the prizes, and one Clara prize, but no Power Pad prize this time, it looks like.
One Clara as well, quite close to the bottom. I don't quite think, unless one of them has to be lost zoned early or any sort of awkward situations come in with flower picking, I think that will be all right. One thing to note, though, that right hand was actually quite important at
yes,
close
it
to the
was.
end of the game. And, of course, that's quite high up there in the prizes. And one chorus, obviously the max 4 count in the deck. There's still 3 available, but a really key card in getting to that 10 for Lost Mine.
Yeah.
And one Manaphy prize for Owyn. Not really relevant in this matchup, but of course a one-off, a VIP pass, and a Sobble there.
Yeah. So both of these players with workable prizes, I'd say. Although, having said that, Brennan only plays one boss's orders, and that isn't the prizes, so that will be frustrating. Same with Owyn, actually. So they're both prizing a one-off boss there.
At least it's equal. It's in the same spot for both as well, so both have access to it. Probably after one knockout. The VIP here with Brennan starting the game. That's Sableye in the active. I bet he would prefer a different Psychic type being comfy there.
Yeah,
in Comfey.
However,
certainly. To hit the bench now.
Yes, so Battle VIP pass, 2 Comfeys getting thrown down, and actually Brennan just passes, so knowing how quickly that both players need to, well, he needs to play specifically, if he wants to make a comeback, and so throws it over to Owyn as soon as he's done with that. Owyn, for what it's worth, throws a Water Energy onto the Sobble, has a Palkia to put down as well, but looks like not much else other than that. Roxanne can't play that right now, a Scoop Up Net, another Palkia, and a Palkia Vista. Oh, that is not a great hand, actually.
Not a great hand at all. And, of course, even if Owyn is able to keep calling here for a Sobble or 2, no Drizzile yet, no Evo Incense, so not a guarantee that he's even able to utilize these Sobbles next turn. And, of course, putting them down in the first place, a risk.
Potentially, although I think the thing that helps there is that Brennan did not get a single card into the Lost Zone. So I think 10 on turn 2 with none on turn 1 is probably a little bit unlikely. So in that sense, Owyn's a little bit more safe.
You'd love to see it, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We absolutely would. And just checking the prizes, they're probably noticing that key boss's order is currently in the prizes. 2 Sobble coming down. And to be fair, Brennan, he needed this game over quickly, and he's going to be really happy with how poor that start was. Yeah,
no kidding. And not only that, but, I mean, Owyn is very much riding off the top of his deck right now. As we saw, there's almost nothing to work with. There's a Water Energy and a Palkia, so maybe you can just take a knockout, but not really much else other than that. So, yeah, let's see what Brennan can do now to kind of try and capitalize on this poor start from Owyn. Doesn't look like Brennan has got too much going on either. See, like a Drapion, a Psychic Energy, Cape of Toughness. Does he even have a supporter?
It doesn't look like, but that flower picking might be able to fix that. Is there anything there? Roxanne,
oh my goodness,
pointless at this point in the game. Not a supporter you want to see, but a Scoop Up Net. Able to use another Comfey now. Coming in, can Flower Selecting do the job? The Zard and the Psychic Energy. Another card you want to see late game. These are all the cards Brennan needed at the end of the last game coming to him now, and we might actually see that Pokegear come off for the first time.
Yes, we might. Pokegear gonna, Quick Ball's gonna get played first, probably just to thin one more card out of the deck to make it most likely to hit that Chorus Experiment, and gonna be grabbing the Kamerman from that as well, because of course that's the most likely thing to be able to attack right now, given how the Lost Zone is looking a little bit empty right now. But after this, going to go for the Pokegear, and like I said, for the first time, actually using it rather than just making it Lost Zone fodder. Yeah,
I'm excited to see this. I hope it pays off well. The odds are lowered by that Quick Ball. Is there a supporter? And
yes!
A Chorus! And that is the card that Brennan absolutely wanted to see. If he could pick one of them to put in that pile, he definitely would have. And now he can start getting those extra 2 cards in the Lost Zone, meaning Kamerman will become active, able to take a knockout on that Sobble, turn 2.
A sigh of relief there for Brennan as he does find the Chorus Experiment off of the Pokegear and finds, not an ideal set of cards, but I think he's going to be able to, pick 2 of those decently. If it actually just gets rid of 2 Pokestops straight away, it's like, nah, don't need that.
Brennan, knowing that one of those Claras is in the prizes at the minute, opts to take that instead of one of the Pokestops, but got a lot else that he needed. Just that Scoop Up needed now to get that Kamerman in the active, that 110, taking a knockout on the Sobble. Usually just an average turn, but at the minute, Owyn's board is not looking good. This is putting on a lot of pressure. This one prize is doing 110 damage.
110 damage, especially considering how slow Owyn's start has been, is exactly what Brennan needs to see right now. Unlike in the last game, Power Pad being played very early, actually just throwing the Chorus Experiment straight back into the deck, and then Spit innocently takes a knockout. What does Owyn draw for turn? Is it anything useful?
He shrugs his shoulders. I think it might be decent.
it's oh no, oh it's an Irida!
Irida, and Owyn has top decked the Irida, allowing him to get into this game. You would imagine here we're going to see that Greninja being able to draw more cards, an item card, getting a Drizzile perhaps, and he is right back in it just with that one draw, showing the strength of Irida.
Goodness gracious me, what a top deck from Owyn right there. Now right back into this game as he's able to find an item, find a Drizzile of course, and start that Inteleon chain going. I think you literally could not have picked a better top deck in that instance.
You absolutely could not. Irida and Palkia going hand in hand in the video games, and once again she is here to help. She is moving the deck along. Owyn now back in the game. It looked hopeless at first, a terrible turn 1, but now turn 2 is looking much more fruitful, and Brennan has no idea how much that could have gone wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Owyn is going to be bringing the biggest sigh of relief in the world as now off of the shady dealings from the Drizzile, going to grab a quick ball. Probably, I imagine, going to be grabbing a Radiant Greninja. Of course, it's going to be there's so many energy in the hand right now, and you both want to get them in the discard pile and draw more cards. So
there it is. As we said, that Drizzle coming down at some point this turn, the Radiant Greninja. The deck likes to do the same things. It's pretty uniform. See cards, play cards, do subspace well, and that is the way it goes. You've got to be thinking for Brennan here at the back of his mind, the longer this game goes on as well, the less chance he has of actually getting a win here.
Yeah, you got to be thinking that, and not only that, but now with the scoop him that as well. So actually, there's no Manaphy on Brennan's side of the field.
There is no Manaphy on Brennan's side of the field. That Star Portal coming out. 3 energy already in the discard this early in the game, and Owyn has completely turned the game on its head. He has flipped the coin, he has rolled the dice, and wow, has it paid off.
My goodness, and look at this now. Drizzile again coming in to find another trainer, and Brennan's going to be left with no Comphase after this.
No Comphase. Obviously, only 4 in there. Spit innocently. The only thing really going on his side of the board. He has been left hopeless here.
What a devastating turnaround from Owyn. A one-card top deck that turned from, we were literally just saying, oh, Owyn has a super slow start, there's not very much he can do, and now he's in a completely dominant position in this game.
I think Owyn here needs to count his lucky stars. That has gone as good as it possibly could for him. That quick ball, obviously, earlier in the turn for that water energy. Again, using concealed cards. Getting all 3 in there. Max efficiency off a Star Portal. And, of course, max efficiency from Moonlight Shuriken to Comfey. In the bin, Brennan's turn.
What do you do here, Brennan, here? In all honesty, a Sableye to put down, but sure, an escape route, but you're not switching into a Comfey. You don't have any more means of getting more cards into the Lost Zone. So, I mean, all you can really do is to try and buy some time with Sableye, perhaps?
I think the escape route, I don't know if there's too much else going on in Brennan's hand. I can see, is that a Marnie? I think so. He is able to at least do that. Obviously, a Clara there, able to get some of the Comfey back if he wants. But that Greninja obviously only attached because he's not putting enough pressure on Owyn's side of the board. He could manually attach to get that Greninja going again with no Manaphy.
Yeah.
And the Marnie, he's hoping to see some answers here. We need an attacker. We need more cards in the Lost Zone. He would have hoped that it was a Colress, but unfortunately, just to shuffle in, draw 5, and Owyn gets 4.
Yes. So finding another Kamerman
and
Cape
that
Toughness,
was
but
not a good set of 5 cards.
No.
2 VIP pass. The perfect garbage is now just garbage in that hand. Not at all. And Brennan is wiping his brow. He knows that this is not looking good. He's sinking here under the weight of Palkia V-Star as Owyn goes back into his deck. A level ball. There's no pressure from Sableye here. He's free reign now. He can play down these lower HP Pokemon. The Sobble, the Zigzagoon. The Zigzagoon it is.
Yes. I'm still in a slight shock about what happened just there. That turnaround was absolutely unbelievable.
This is why we do the casting though, Freya. We love seeing those vital top decks. It's probably the most exciting part of the TCG that we have.
It really is. Melanie as well going on to the Palkia with the energy, so that I imagine Owyn would also want to attach a water manually to the Radiant Greninja, maybe to do another Moonlight Shuriken, because
of course, just keeping that pressure on just in case, making Brennan sweat a little bit, knowing that he needs that Manaphy, otherwise the threat comes into the active again and does its business.
And of course Owyn doesn't know this, but Brennan really has no means of finding a Manaphy next turn. His hand is completely unworkable right now.
And Brennan's going to be hoping for some similar fate as his brother coming into this, top decking exactly what he needs. But right now, I think he's so far behind. I don't think any card helps. Obviously, Brennan, the best he could hope for with this amount of time is a tie as well. But it doesn't even look like that's likely at this point as the Inteleon comes down. Shady Dealings, 2 trainer cards out of the deck. As Owyn continues to fly, it was a bumpy and turbulent ride that turn 1, but his wings are soaring now and he is pulling far, far ahead.
Yes, cross switcher coming out from the Shady Dealings Inteleon, as well as a Capacious Bucket to grab 2 more water energies, so that way Owyn will have the extra manual attachment from hand to hopefully go for a second Moonlight Shuriken and really, cement this lead that he's built up so quickly. But for this turn, it's almost certainly just going to be Subspace Realm knockout on the Sableye.
Yeah, you would imagine that Pelkia is just ready to go here. The energy in hand possible for the attachment, but the cross switcher choosing to take the Charizard instead, knowing that that become a threat when Owyn goes down to 3 prizes left, but instead taking it away. And we know, Freya, there is nothing in Brennan's hand right now that can sort that problem out.
No, absolutely not. Owyn still does have a manual attachment to do, so maybe considering whether it makes more sense to do it onto the... Oh, no, opting to... Maybe, was there attachment already this turn? Did I miss it?
I don't think there was. Maybe just holding on to that, and he does see the Comfey at the top of the deck.
But it looks like it's just going to be...
110. Brennan is sinking here. Owyn is a shark in the water. He's ready to bite, and this Pelkia is looking more and more powerful now. Another quick ball coming down. Will Owyn go for another Pelkia here? Yes, a backup attacker just in case this Pelkia falls. However, it is looking increasingly good for Owyn.
Yeah, Brennan is not even close to getting a Lost Mine going, and meanwhile, Owyn just has all the attackers, and in this instance, he very clearly has enough time to just take 6 knockouts. We say that, oh, sure, it would be more ideal if you could take 2 at the same time, and it is, but, I mean, when you're this far ahead, it doesn't really even matter.
Doesn't really matter, and we keep mentioning the time now. The time, both important for Owyn to try and get the second win, but far more important for Brennan at this point. He's trying to get into a game.
And he concedes!
He sees the Manaphy. He knows that he needed the scoop up net to make anything happen on that turn with his hand. It is a really dreadful hand. He's showing Owyn this is how bad that it got. And unfortunately, that choice, we're talking about Flower selecting, sometimes making these really difficult decisions. And of course, the Manaphy needed to stop that Greninja from happening again, but also the scoop up net to be able to have an attack at all that turn.
Yeah, and it was all she wrote for Brennan as he realized that this game was going nowhere fast. And so with that, Owyn Kamerman makes his way, as far as we're aware at least,
as far as we are aware,
into the top 8 of the Lille Regional Championships. Huge congratulations to him. You can also see the relief on his face, although also imagine feeling very much commiserations for his brother in this instance, and some kind of heated discussion there, perhaps the dinner table discussion happening a little bit earlier than expected. But yeah, what an incredible series that was.
I'm sure Brennan, underneath the slight disappointment, is happy for his brother, now continuing to solidify his place as the world's #1. And I think an important note that I didn't mention so far today, looking on Owyn's Twitter last night, already at 330 points so far this season. So it already qualified for Yokohama before today, and will continue to push that further.
Maybe Owyn will end this season the top of the top 22 in Europe. Who knows? At this rate, I mean, anything's possible.
Anything is possible, especially seeing that Irida come off the top. That really does spell that anything's possible. What does that feel like, Freya? Obviously, you've played at these high-level tournaments. I'm sure that's happened to you before. What are the feelings you get in such a crucial match?
It's honestly unreal. I recall back to my winning in for top 8 at Worlds against Frank Diaz, and where everything's just down to the wire like that. Especially when, I mean, in my instance, the game went to time as well, right? So it's kind of like extra pressure. We have barely any time for game 3, and you are just trying to. It's a combination of trying to play as fast as possible to meet the time limits, but just trying to do everything correct. And when the pressure's on, it is so intense. It's pretty much like nothing else I've ever experienced. And well, that is exactly the kind of, if you're in that situation, you don't really realize it until you're in there, just like how crazy it feels.
Of course. And then another talking point I think it's important to mention, obviously we're celebrating the top 8 win here, but Brennan so close. Obviously a knock like that can really send your confidence down. How do you recover from that?
Well, I think you recover from that by acknowledging that you still made top 32 or top 16, depending on resistance, at one of the most prestigious events on the whole calendar, right? You've come to a regional championships and finished far above so many other people. Like even after that you lost on winning in, sure it's disappointing, but it's still a really good result.
Of course it is, especially nowadays when these regionals are going above 600 people, even to 1,000 in some parts of the world. It really is an achievement to be true. So we talked before the game about the strengths of Palkia continuing to show its a dominant force in this format. It's already won in at top 8. I'm sure there might be 1 or 2 more. Looking at this top 8 now, it's going to be really exciting. Can Palkia go all the way?
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, honestly. I mean, we've seen the strength of it multiple times over the course of the stream. It's proven itself as a deck that is just not going away no matter the changes in the format. There is no reason why Palkia couldn't win this tournament at this point.
I think some of our best games as well have been Palkia, especially that mirror match that we had yesterday. We were talking about sort of the interactions between Choice Band and Big Charm and things like that. And there have been some really top games. And of course, I think that Palkia, one of those decks that players who have been using it have been using it for such a long time now that they really know all of the insides out, all the pieces through the labyrinth to be able to get a good result. However, we are going to cut to a break now. We're going to go and fetch Owyn and see if we can get a winner's interview from him. We'll catch you after the break. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I am here with our last Swiss round feature match winner, Owyn Kamerman. Congratulations!
Thank you, thank you.
I'll ask a question first that I'm sure you're probably expecting. How did you feel when you saw the last Swiss round pairing and you're up against your brother of all people?
I was already saying, as long as I don't play Brennan, as long as I don't play Brennan, it's fine. We're gonna make double top 8, right? We just win against someone else.
Yeah.
And then we face each other and it's like,
oh
God. I know I've done this before. We've played so many times in events. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you ever played against each other for like a winning in for top 8 before?
We've played twice at Worlds.
Okay, okay.
But not this high stakes. No.
Oh
no,
my
it's
goodness.
The first time. It was just mostly sadness because I know
well, of
we
course,
wouldn't
yeah.
make both top 8s.
Yeah.
But at least one of us now is.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure obviously your brother's really happy for you as well, although we're probably a little bit sad about the outcome of the game. So, yeah, talking about a little bit of the game in specific, we saw like a lot of very interesting sort of dynamics how that matchup played out. Game 1 especially, it basically came down to the fact that Palpad was prized for so long, and Brennan was only able to find it at the end. Were you kind of surprised, or did you kind of already figure out that the Palpad was probably prized?
Well, he was playing really weirdly already. He whiffed a lot of covers early, so that was already weird. And then you know when someone plays weird, you know there's something missing. There's something
absolutely,
missing. And so I was wondering what, and it made sense for it to be Palpad because so I did know.
Yeah, and then going into and then going to game 2 as well, like you had a completely unworkable hand, basically. You were also going nothing, and then the Irida off the top of the deck. What was your reaction when you saw that?
I mean, it wasn't even I could have attacked it at that turn by retreating with water energy and then Palkia attacking, but
Yeah.
the area just made it so 10 times better. It was so super relieving for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine because yeah, you had the Water Energy and the Palkia V-Star in hand, didn't you? So you could just like retreat, attach it, and Star Portal. But yeah, that Irida turned it from a attack with Palkia turn to a double knockout on a Comfey turn, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So you're basically locked in for top 8 now, as I understand it, right?
Yeah,
or or you're not in the bubble, are you?
No, I should be locked.
Okay, wonderful. So going into top 8 then, have you had a chance to see some of the other decks that you know are in top 8? Is there anything you're particularly afraid of matchup-wise? Is there anything you'd like to play? Sort of what's your thoughts going into top 8?
Honestly, I picked up this Jet deck yesterday. I have no clue what its matchups really are.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't mind. I've won against everything. So I think Hisuian Zorak or something is kind of scary. Maybe not actually. Facing Tord is probably scary if you can make it. I'm not sure if you can make it.
Yeah. Tord is the sort of name that you always have your heart sink whenever you see your pet against them in any given tournament, so that makes a lot of sense. I guess then the only thing that's left to say is, again, congratulations on making top 8, a super well-deserved top 8 placement, and I'm sure your brother, although, like we said before, feeling a bit sad, but I'm sure he'll be incredibly happy for you as well.
Yeah.
And for all of you watching at home, we're going to cut to another break right now, but when we come back, we will have our first top 8 feature match waiting to go, so do not go anywhere, you do not want to miss it.